Well, let's get some more reaction now, and delighted to say we can have Arsenal fan and broadcaster Sophie Mikel join us. Sophie, so good to see you. Thought you might be in a fairly good mood this morning. Let's begin, shall we, with Declan Rice. Did you actually think he had those free kicks in him?
Well, the way he takes corners and how much he controls that dead ball, it kind of now feels like, why hasn't he been taking our free kicks this whole time? And the fact that we haven't scored from a free kick since 2021 is incredible. I have to say, it's great to wake up this morning and not be the dartboard and be the set of fans that may be throwing some darts. Our pedigree in Europe is not great. And even though we're a super big club, we're not, and we don't have that history in Europe, and Real Madrid do. So in essence, I think this felt like a David versus Goliath type of game tonight. And it actually reminded me a little bit of like the Buster Douglas Mike Tyson fight, when you saw Mike Tyson on the canvas and you couldn't believe that he got knocked out. And it was really quite shocking. And, you know, Declan delivered two major blows to Real Madrid tonight, and we had our Buster Douglas moment.
Sophie, you talk about being David versus Goliath, so therefore, did that result surprise you? 3-0 against the Champions League winners?
I did not have 3-0 on my bingo card, and I challenge any Arsenal fan who was expecting that, last night. I think we believe, you know, and sometimes they say hope isn't a plan. We've seen glimpses of what we can do, beating Manchester City this season 5-1. Of course, we've been decimated with injuries, and that has really hampered our progression in the Premier League. But you take nights like this. I know there'll be a lot of people talking about it's only half time and there's still a second leg. And yes, of course. But you have to be able to, as a fan, savor these moments. We've been absolutely craving, so thirsty to have a night like this in Europe, a signature win, a signature moment. And I'm really happy also for Mikel Arteta and the players, and in particular Mikel Arteta, who's come under a lot of criticism from a lot of us broadcasters as well. And I think this was a seminal moment for him as Arsenal manager.
Well, that's just it. Does it feel almost like a coming-of-age sort of victory, albeit, as you say, at the sort of halfway stage, for Arteta and for this Arsenal team?
Yeah, Hannah, I think this is a really good point, because we've shown great moments. We've challenged in the Premier League. We've come close. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to close the deal. And as I was saying earlier, you know, our pedigree in Europe isn't great. And it's really the baton that opposing fans can get us at. And it's understandable. Manchester United, Liverpool, even Chelsea recently have been able, you know, to bring trophies home in Europe. So for us, I think this is a major step. We needed to have a game like this, but also it's not one of those games where people can say, oh, they were lucky to beat Real Madrid. We wiped the floor with them last night. And I think that every Arsenal fan should be, and I know they are, super proud of this victory. And it's okay to savor it and not think too far ahead. But the way we played, the way we controlled the tempo of the game, I think in the first half there were moments where Real Madrid were rising, but we were able to combat that, and we handled it really well. Major flowers to a player like Kivior, who was probably under so much pressure last night to come in and perform for a player who's been a gladiator for us this season in Gabriel. He deserves major flowers. Players like Mikel Merino, who've been asked to play in the number 9 role, came in as a midfielder. He might be playing better as a number 9 than he does as a midfielder. And again, Mikel Arteta making that decision was pretty bold, even though, you know, we were light on choices. But he's risen to the occasion. And, you know, Declan will get all the headlines. There's another player that I want to mention, and I think he's a player that we should cherish and maybe not be so harsh in the headlines, in the press, and that's Miles Lewis-Skelly. You know, he's an England budding star. He's a star already for Arsenal. He's come under a lot of fire. A little bit like Bellingham, they both have confidence and they're kicked for their confidence. And really, we should be appreciating the fact that here are two young English players who play the game with so much passion and a lot of confidence. And I think that we should celebrate that and put them on a pedestal instead of kind of throwing them in a puddle.
Very well said. Look, Sophie, brilliant to talk to you. Continue to enjoy what last night was and represents for this Arsenal team. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, guys.